Some time ago the Future Games show happened where a lot of great games were presented. We are My Next Games and today we've prepared for you a list of the most interesting games announced at the event. The first one is a very interesting game entitled Halibut. Already at first glance we can notice its main interesting element. Well, all characters and locations are fully animated using stop motion technique, which gives this game its unique look. This also means that everything in the game was created by hand using traditional sculpting and modeling methods. Such methods have been used mainly in animated movies, but recently we've seen increasing interest from game developers in various interesting techniques that take the game to a completely different level. Halibut is a game about a laboratory assistant of a certain scientist. It turns out that they were stranded on a sunken ship and slowly began to get used to their new daily life. However, everything changes when the main character discovers a whole new world in the depths of the ocean. This discovery could be crucial for the plans of Professor Moreau, who is trying to restart their ship. Halibut will debut on April 16th and is definitely one of the best looking games at the entire Future Games show. The second game on our list will be Tenebris Somnia. Although we don't know much about it at this point, thanks to the teaser presented at FGS, we can deduce that the game will be a combination of 2D gameplay and live action cutscenes. All the cinematic cutscenes were recorded by real actors and a professional filmmaking team, so they look really impressive. This creates a very interesting effect that looks good on the presented video, but we have some concerns about whether these two aesthetics will mesh well together, as they are after all two completely different graphic styles. The developers compared their game to the Resident Evil series or Silent Hill series transferred to the two-dimensional screen, solving various puzzles, mysteries and fighting all sorts of creatures lurking at every turn awaits us. So far the release date of Tenebris Somnia has not yet been announced. The third game was developed by Oddmeter Studio and is titled INDIKA. It tells the story of a nun who embarks on a journey seeking answers to the questions that plague her. However, there is one important detail. Well, her traveling companion is the devil himself. Together they traverse the territory of the ancient Russia depicted in a distorted mirror and explore the dark places of INDIKA's soul. On their way they will encounter many obstacles and mysteries which together they will have to solve. INDIKA is a game presented from a third-person perspective and has its fair share of comedy, drama and dark humor, thanks to which it seeks to break popular patterns and create a completely new artistic creation. The game will premiere on May 8th, so quite soon, and we can't wait to see if it all turns out well. Realm of Ink is the fourth game in today's episode and it's just as interesting as the previous ones. It just shows how many great games are being developed lately despite many opinions that everything has already been done. Realm of Ink is a roguelike slasher in which we beat many levels and unlock more characters. However, the main unique element of this game that distinguishes it from many other roguelike is the ink system. We have many types of ink to choose from, starting with Tiger Ink, Venom Ink, Curse Ink, Burning Ink, Kalen Ink and many more types which, as you probably expect, give different effects and give our character cool abilities. In addition, each type of ink corresponds with a different pet, which by combining different types of ink can evolve into 15 different forms, further enriching our abilities during combat. And this will definitely come in handy as more than 20 bosses await us and that won't be easy battles. Filled with beautiful Chinese aesthetics, the Realm of Ink doesn't have a release date yet, but we can expect the game to be released sooner rather than later. Have you missed the Ori series? We do too, and although we can't present you the new installment of the series, the studio that created Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisp is soon publishing its new game. No Rest for the Wicked is a kind of an action RPG that aims to refresh the genre's established patterns. And speaking of Ori, the style, all the colors and light play are deceptively reminiscent of those in the Ori series. On the plot side, the year is 841, the current king dies and his arrogant son takes over the reign. In addition, the land has been struck by a terrible disease which we as the main character must stop. We play the role of a mystical warrior with magical powers who has to travel the whole world and defeat a lot of powerful opponents on his way, and this will be be possible thanks to an interesting system of dynamic action which requires the player to be strategic and use all available equipment and moves. And if you are tired of playing alone, you can invite your friends to play and face your opponents in free-player online co-op mode. No Rest for the Wicked will be released as early as April 18th, 2024. Since we are halfway through our list, let me tell you about a production we are working on with friends. This is another production from the Tales from the Arcade series, which of course already includes Starship Murder. And soon Fartmania will also join this group. The name here is not accidental, and we hope you will fall in love with the idea as quickly as we did. In Tales from the Arcade Fartmania we play the role of one of the pigs. However, it turns out that all the other piglets in the village have been kidnapped by an alien ship. Our hero must take to the air and save his friends. You'll probably ask, how? Well, with the help of farts. Each click of the spacebar is another fart taking the pig up all the way to the top. But this does not mean that the journey will be easy. On the contrary, during the expedition a lot of difficulties and obstacles await the hero, and one wrong move can knock him back at the very bottom of the village. Thanks to the implementation of the ranking system, you can compete with your friends both in terms of how fast you can beat the game and in terms of the number of rescued pigs. We are sure that you are in for a lot of fun and laughter while playing Tales from the Arcade Fartmania. And one more thing, if you would like to become one of the characters in Fartmania, just visit our Patreon and pledge your support with the live chat threshold. Thanks. As the 6th game in today's video, we have chosen AWAKEN Astral Blade from Dark Pigeon Game Studio. We play the role of a bionic girl whose task is to find and rescue the missing member of the investigation force. To do this, she goes deep into the dark forest of the Horace Islands, where dangerous and mutated creatures called anatomorphs await at every turn. Together with our character, we will traverse the ruins of old civilizations and discover the secrets of the past and present. The map was created to give players maximum gameplay and not force them to explore more and more routes. Everything happens here dynamically and quickly, although there will also be slower moments. Along the way you will collect precious materials which can be used to upgrade your weapons or produce useful items. Oh, and you can pet the cat. 10 out of 10. For now we don't have a final release date, we only know that AWAKEN Astral Blade will be released in the 3rd quarter of this year. It's time for the first multiplayer game on this list, which will be Battle Crash. In this game we are one of 30 players in an arena that is constantly shrinking, and we fight of course to become the last player alive. In Battle Crash we take on the role of one of the Calixers. Poseidon, Hades, Medusa and Hermes are just some of the characters we can play. Each of them has its own story and unique abilities which will definitely come in handy in a dynamic battle. The game will have various modes, one of which will be the previously mentioned Battle Royale, where we can play solo, or in a squad of 3 where the key is to choose specific characters to create the most balanced team. We will also have Brawl and Duel modes where the arenas are smaller, and because of that the game becomes even more dynamic. It looks very interesting, and you can see that the creators put a lot of work into designing the characters, because just by looking at them you want to play it. Unfortunately, so far we have not received a specific release date for Battle Crash. The 8th game is the sequel to the big hit from 7 years ago. Senua'd Saga Hellblade 2 is a new game from Ninja Theory that will introduce us to the further fate of the character. As expected, we are in for a brutal journey through the dark and dangerous regions of Viking Iceland. What we can say, the game looks simply insane. While looking at the Hellblade 2 trailer, only one thought comes to mind: can games get any more realistic? It's amazing how much developers are able to squeeze out of today's engines, and it's hard to imagine what games will look like in a few years. According to the developers themselves, as with the first part, here too their main goal was to provide players with the ultimate cinematic experience that they will remember for a long time. The new Saga Hellblade 2 will be available on May 21st, 2024. Unfortunately, there is no expectation for physical versions. And now let's move a bit away from the thrilling atmosphere and take a look at a go-go town. As mayor of neglected town, our task is to bring life back to it. We have to construct new buildings, hire workers, plant and nurture plants, and even extract various resources. The whole visuals are gorgeous and have that cozy vibe which perfectly suits this type of game. Personally, my first association was with Animal Crossing from Nintendo Switch, and indeed there is something in it. I think Go-Go Town can be safely called a PC version of the Nintendo hit. Here you can customize your character, go fishing, hang out with various animals, and even play play with your friends, because the game has full co-op support, thanks to which you can play both remotely and on a split screen with 4 people. If you're a fan of cozy games, then Go Town will be a must-play game for you, especially since you don't have to wait long for it due to the fact that it's already coming out this year. And for now you can try out the demo on Steam. Well, and it's time for the last game on this list, which will be Deathbound. The clash of life and death awaits us, in which we will actively participate. During our expedition through ruins and old locations, we will recruit new heroes to our team and dynamically swap between them in battle. However, it is necessary to approach this strategically, because if a given hero dies, we can't play him again. Although this does not at all mean that he disappears forever. As a fallen warrior, he will support the rest of the team and add interesting bonuses. Deathbound is also not a classic Souls-like game. Due to the fact that the game's developers are from Brazil, combat will mainly focus on capoeira-style martial arts to the rhythm of the melody playing in the background. This is another game in today's episode which breaks the familiar patterns and brings a breath of fresh air to the older genres. We are completely sold at this point, okay, which is why we are even more pleased that Deathbound will be released as early as 2024. And those were the most interesting games we selected from this year's Future Games Show. Be sure to let us know in the comments which game is your favorite from the event, leave a subscription on our channel, and that's all. See you in the future videos on the My Next Games channel. Cheers!